Sullivan. Whenever I hear from my folks back in Alabama, workforce is top of their mind. We're struggling right now in our state, struggling to fill jobs, struggling to match up the right people with the right job, struggling to keep businesses open, struggling to keep costs affordable. It's a huge problem. Reauthorization of the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act will be a huge step in the right direction. I think we all agree with that. Now, I know my colleagues on both sides of the aisle have been hearing a lot about this issue. We've all discussed it, and people across the country have been speaking up, offering solutions. A lot of my colleagues have spoken up and presented their ideas, and I have one myself. I introduced a Workforce Data Act yesterday. This bill is simple. It was developed in coordination with stakeholders across the WIOA system, and it would help ensure these federal dollars are getting to the right folks. My bill would improve data sharing within the WIOA system and allow local boards and providers access to wage data from the unemployment insurance system. This would allow them to measure performance with better and more accurate measures of success. We will be able to determine which training is working and which folks are being helped by these programs. Pretty straightforward and simple. Hopefully we can do something with this. Mr. Dickerson, you started your career as a high school coach. I think we have a little bit in common. And thank you for your service, because teaching is a service, coaching is a service. Can you tell us about what employers are looking at from the WIOA system?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the question. And some of my fondest memories were as a high school coach, and there's a lot of lessons that can be applied into business as well. But from an industry standpoint, I think a partnership in our workforce development is what we're looking for. And I made a statement in my testimony that it's our time to really step up and help bridge that gap. But for too long and for too many years, especially since COVID, I think business and industries are spending more internal dollars on developing their own workforce because of the lack of participation from the external. And that's just not sustainable for a business in our budget. And so considering a strong partnership with our community partners, our local workforce boards, our community technical college system is what we would really be looking forward to.
Is the current system working?
I think there's challenges with the current system that make it difficult to be successful. I think we have some spotlights in Northeast Louisiana that I'm proud of to say that we are working, but not to scale and not to meet the demand of employers in our areas.
Yeah, education is the opportunity for our kids in the country, and I heard even earlier about people that have lost their jobs, which is rightly so. Education all my life. Our education system has abandoned us in some degree. We need to do a lot more work with that. And I know I have two huge manufacturing plants in Mobile. We make commercial jets, we make ships and submarines. And they have gone out recruiting in McDonald's and Walmart to train people how to weld and how to do plumbing and electricity. Some of the best workers. We can't sustain our country like that. We can't do it. It's got to be done through the educational system. Too many of our kids go to four-year schools that don't need to go. I've watched that. I was a part of that, and saw kids that come and get a degree in something that they could never get a job and had to go work at Walmart. So, Mr. Sullivan, why is WIOA funding having such a minimum impact on our broader workforce needs?
Well, I think it's important. Thank you for the question. I think it's important to note the funding level of WIOA. I think it was referenced at about $3 billion. Just for a sake of reference, the federal Pell program is about $30 billion. So just let that sink in for a second about the scope and scale. Think about the number of colleges. Sorry, not sure that you can hear me here. Think about the number of colleges that are available and the ability to be able to scale, as you heard Mr. Dickerson say a few minutes ago, to ensure that everyone has that opportunity. I think that's where we've got to find a way. But the reality is there are very few people out of the 150,000 that we have educated every year in Louisiana's community and technical colleges that are funded via WIOA. That number is likely very similar to the number that you have in Alabama, somewhere around the 1,100 or 1,200 range.
Yeah, it's we're in a tough situation. I'm all for Pell Grants. I dealt with them for years with football players and all that. problem is, I think they're misused, but we could use Pell Grant more for workforce development for kids that just want to specify on something. I think that junior colleges, obviously, there's a lot of things that we can do to help, but we just don't do it. We talk about it, we don't do it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.